Welcome back. Minnesota Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar this morning announced she's a candidate for governor. And as many people do these days, put out a pretty well-designed and well-produced video. And immigration enforcement front and center of her campaign. Take a look.
And I'm running for every Minnesotan who wants ICE and its abusive tactics out of the state we love.
Bringing our political panel, Democratic strategist John McCarthy, Republican strategist Lance Trover. This is a surprise to no one. The announcement would have been sooner, but obviously the tumult and the sadness in Minneapolis delayed that necessarily. There's going to be no competition on the Democratic side for Amy Klobuchar. She's going to be the Democratic nominee. How do you size up that race for governor?
I mean, I think that Amy Klobuchar is a very formidable candidate, and I would actually think that we should all actually watch the whole launch video. It's about 4 minutes, because the way she opens it up, she actually reflects on what Minnesotans have been going through for the whole year. And I think a lot of us forget because it feels so far away, but you had the Speaker of the House assassinated, you had a shooting in a Catholic school, you have this unrest that you're seeing in the streets. So I think people are looking for a very steady hand, and I think Klobuchar provides that. And when you just listen to her talk, like, you hear Minnesota. And I think authenticity is important, and I think voters are going to follow her.
Lance?
Yeah, look, I mean, yeah, it's the nomination is going to be hers, and she's a very, I mean, look, she's going to raise money, she's going to do a lot of, campaigning, and I think she will be a
proven statewide track record.
Yeah, I mean, I think she will. I think there will be questions about her temperament. I mean, there have been reports over the course of several years, her stuff of how she treats staff, the stuff of lore in this town. It's not just.
And she also addressed fraud in Minnesota, and she, as a Democrat, will get questions about what did you know and when, and why didn't you raise more hackles about it with Governor Walz?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, she's going to be a strong candidate.
Yeah. I want to play for you sound from the Speaker of the House, because though he didn't know it, well, I think he knew it, but Dick Durbin is not experienced as a senator, and nor should he be, in breaking news on television. But he said something in the moment that was super important. There's an agreement in the Senate, pass 5 bills, hold 1 back, DHS funding, send it back to the House after it is approved on some short-term basis. That means this is going to have to be revisited by the House of Representatives, and a very sad Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, referred to that today. Let's listen.
These things are out of the control of the House right now, and it's rather frustrating for us. We got all 12 appropriations bills done. We sent them to the Senate. We did our job, and now it looks like people are playing political games with it, so it's frustrating.
Playing political games with it. No, the fact of the matter is the White House supports this deal. The White House knows that it's going to have to agree to some reforms for DHS, or this bill is not going to get passed in any form. So the Speaker is going to have to figure out a way to pass it.
But who better to do it than Mike Johnson? I say this time and again. He steps up every single time. Everybody's like, oh, he's down. He's got 1 vote, 2 votes, whatever. He always steps up and puts it over the line. I do think, though, he's got a caucus.
I mean, not always. There have been more rule votes that have gone down in flames under his speakership than any
recently.
other
But if you count the shutdown, the one big beautiful bill, I mean, in crunch time, he always puts it over the line.
And this will be a crunch time experience.
But yeah, absolutely.
John?
I mean, you found a bipartisan moment. I will say Speaker Johnson can somehow always find a way to pull a rabbit out of a hat. It continues to impress me every single time. But, the other thing that's impressive, too, on this side is Democrats have really stepped into their own in terms of learning to use their power of leverage in the minority. When you don't control anything, you don't have a ton of tools at your disposal. But Democrats have been able to shift narrative here. And I think that they've put a really important issue on the table, and that's accountability. People are looking at these issues out of Minnesota, and they want someone to feel accountable to them.
Related to that, John, here's Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, talking about impeachment and DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Please listen.
We intend to proceed with impeachment proceedings if Kristi Noem is not fired. Kristi Noem is a complete and total embarrassment. She's a disgrace.
Wait a minute. How can the minority party in the House proceed with impeachment proceedings?
You can introduce them.
How do you regard? Because I think 6 months ago, if you'd asked any House Democrat about the topic of impeachment, they would have sort of regarded it under their breath as a hot stove moment. Don't really go there. We have other things to do. How do you think about this either strategically or as a matter of accountability?
Well, I think that voters can do multiple things at once. And I think that voters are telling both parties an important lesson here when it comes to border security and what we're seeing in Minnesota. I think people are saying, on one hand, they want borders that are enforced. Democrats need to get our act together on immigration. And secondarily, they're seeing these things in the streets and saying this is way too far. So I think that that's giving Democrats an opening here to talk about this in a way that Republicans are going to, use this, or they're going to have it as a political liability.
He and I, this is we're the dynamic duo. We sometimes agree on this show, right? Yeah, I mean, but look, never underestimate the Democrats' ability to overplay their hand on this one, because voters have made it very clear. They still want deportations in this country. And I see things like this mayor saying, well, I'm playing footsie with criminal illegal aliens. The voters are very clear on that. They want these folks gone.
But there's some nuance to that. They're not for the idea of these kind of patrolmen roaming through their streets, showing up at schools, showing up at churches.
I don't disagree with you on tactics.
Tactics is a very polite way of putting it. People aren't for this kind of, this is just a clear, it goes against the very concept of consent of the governed. People aren't for this.
Very quickly, I want to play sound because our Nicole Skanga, one of our valued colleagues, talked to Jacob Fry, Minneapolis mayor, who's here in town, about what's happening rhetorically and what he sees or not seeing on the actual streets of Minneapolis. He's the mayor there. Let's listen. I'm told we don't have it, and because we're up against a time constraint, I will summarize for you. What he said was, I will believe it when I see it. Oh, well, then play it.
What I will say is I will believe it when I see it. They have talked about drawing down the numbers in terms of federal agents, ICE, and Border Patrol in Minneapolis, and that is essential. The reality, however, is that we need Operation Metro Surge to end. It is not about creating safety in Minneapolis.
Lance, you get 10 seconds.
Exactly what I'm thinking. We'll believe it when we see it. If we're going to have compromise, there has to be compromise. He needs to step up and work with the federal government.
John McCarthy, Lance Trover, always a pleasure. You called yourself a dynamic duo that sometimes agree. That's why we love to have you here.